On 18 March 2015, 3 terrorists attacked the Bardo National Museum in the Tunisian capital city of Tunis, and took hostages. 21 people, mostly European tourists, were killed at the scene, while an additional victim died 10 days later. Around 50 others were injured. 2 of the gunmen, Tunisian citizens Yassine El-Abadi and Saber Karknouer, were killed by police, while the third attacker is currently at large. Police treated the event as a terrorist attack. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant claimed responsibility for the attack, and threatened to commit further attacks. A police raid killed 9 members on 28 March. Background: since the removal from power of longtime President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali in the 2011 Tunisian revolution, the country has faced occasional attacks from Islamist militants, mainly in remote areas. Its citizens have also been one of the largest constituents of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. Tourism has been important to the nation's economy since its transition to democracy. The morning of the attack, the MSC Splenandida and the Costa Fascinosa landed at the port of La Gouleta. Some of the passengers on board the ships had decided to go to the Bardo Museum. At the time of the attack, more than 200 tourists were present in the vicinity. The attack began at around 12:30 p.m. At that time, security guards protecting the museum and the nearby Parliament building were absent on a coffee break. The tourists were attacked as they were getting off a bus to enter the Bardo Museum compound. As scores of visitors ran toward the museum to avoid the shooting, the attackers pursued them and took them hostage inside. The siege lasted 3 hours, ending when security forces breached the building and killed 2 of the attackers. 1 policeman was fatally shot during the rescue operation. Tunisian security forces escorted dozens of tourists up nearby steps and away from the danger, as armed agents pointed guns toward an adjacent building. Many tourists ran in panic to safety, including at least 1 couple carrying 2 children. During the attack, members of parliament were discussing counter-terrorist legislation when they were ordered to evacuate the building due to the sound of gunfire. They were later forced to lie down on the ground as security forces commenced the rescue operation of hostages. Aftermath. According to analyst Rita Katz of the site Intelligence Group, holders of Twitter accounts associated with ISIL were overjoyed at the attack, urging Tunisians to follow their brothers. The day following the attack, the Islamic State group issued a statement claiming responsibility for the incident and promising further attacks. Meanwhile, its Twitter account linked to the Islamic State published a photograph of one of the Italian victims. The image, showing Francesco Caldara, has a red cross drawn on it and the words, "Crusader crushed." Anti-terrorism protests began in central Tunis after the attack, with crowds reportedly chanting, "Tunisia is free, terrorism out." On the 24th of March, nearly a week after the attack, the museum held a ceremonial reopening. Simultaneously, thousands of Tunisians and tourists staged a march in Tunis to show their solidarity with the slain victims. On the 29th of March, tens of thousands of demonstrators, along with French President François Hollande, Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi, and several other world leaders, marched in Tunis under the slogan "The world is Bardo" to protest terrorism. Victims when the attack ended: 19 foreign tourists, including 4 Italians, 3 French nationals, 3 Japanese, 3 Polish nationals, 2 Spaniards, 2 Colombians, 1 Russian, and 1 British national were found to have been killed. 1 Tunisian citizen, 1 Tunisian police officer, and 2 perpetrators were also reported dead. 8 victims died outside the museum, while 13 others died inside the building. As well, Akil, a police dog of the Tunisian National Security Services, was also killed in the attack. On the 28th of March, an injured French woman, Huguette Dupou, died of her wounds at a hospital. Over 50 other people were injured, many of them foreign tourists. 11 Polish nationals, 6 Italians, 3 Japanese, and 7 French nationals were confirmed wounded by their respective governments. MSC Crozier SA reported that 9 of its guests had been killed, and 12 were injured. 6 visitors, all from the MSC Splendida, are still unaccounted for, including 2 Spaniards, 1 Belgian, 1 British national, 1 French national, and 1 Japanese. The cruise company said that it would not schedule any further visits to the port of La Goulette in 2015, choosing Malta as a replacement. Perpetrators: Yassine Labadi and Saber Karknouer, both Tunisian citizens, were identified by Tunisian Prime Minister Habib Essed as the 2 slain gunmen a day after the attack. Prior to the attack, Labadi lived in the Tunis neighborhood of Ibn Khaldoun, while Karknouer was from Kasserine. Labadi moved after the Jasmine Revolution to Sfax for work, and lived there until his death. He worked as a delivery man for a local business prior to the attack, while Labadi was known to intelligence services. Neither of the 2 men had previously been positively linked to known Tunisian terrorist organizations. An operation looking for up to 3 suspected accomplices was launched immediately following the attack. On the following day, 9 people were arrested. 4 for direct links to the cell which carried out the shooting and 5 for having indirect links to it. Their roles in the attack have not yet been clarified. On the 21st of March, the number of people arrested reached over 20, with 10 accused of having direct links to the museum attack. On the 26th of March, authorities arrested 23 members of a terror cell linked to the attack, although they confirmed 3 suspects, all Moroccan and Algerian nationals, were still on the run. According to BBC security correspondent Frank Gardner, an al-Qaeda operative claimed the men had spent 2 months training with militants in Derna, Libya. On the 20th of March, Tunisian Security Minister Rafik Chehli announced that Labadi and Karknouer had received weapons training in Libya from an unspecified group prior to carrying out the attack. According to authorities, they managed to slip past the border to Libya undetected in December. On the 22nd of March, Tunisian President Behi Caid Essebsi said a 3rd gunman was involved in the attack, and is at large. On the 28th of March, Tunisian police killed Lokman Abisakra, an Algerian suspected of planning the attack, along with 8 other armed men during a raid in the southern Gafsa region. They were allegedly major members of the Okba Ibn Nafar Brigade, a splinter group of al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. Interior Ministry spokesman Mohammed Ali Arau said, T9 were among the most dangerous terrorists in Tunisia. Sakra was said to be the leader of the group. The Tunisian government said the Okba Ibn Nafar Brigade was responsible for the attack, despite claims of responsibility made by the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. On the 20th of May, 22-year-old Moroccan illegal immigrant Abdelmajid Toui was arrested in Italy on allegations that he aided the attackers. Reactions. Domestic Tunisian President Behi Caid Essebsi announced via Facebook that he would address the nation later that day. In his address, he called the attack a huge disaster, and called for Tunisia to prevent such an attack in the future, further saying that the country was in a war against terrorism. He also pledged for the quick passage of an anti-terrorism law. Prime Minister Habib Essed issued a statement on the cowardly attack and called for unity, later chairing an emergency cabinet meeting. Essebsi also praised Akil, a 1.5-year-old German Shepherd police dog who was killed in the raid, saying, "It's a victim we don't talk about, but it's a heavy loss." On the day following the attack, Essebsi ordered the deployment of Tunisian troops to the country's major cities as a security precaution. International Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Julie Bishop called the incident a terrorist attack on a fledgling democracy, and Prime Minister Tony Abbott sent his condolences to the family of an Australian killed in the attack. British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond described the killings as a cowardly terrorist attack, whilst Prime Minister David Cameron described the incident as appalling and brutal. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos lamented the death of the 2 Colombians killed in the attack and expressed his solidarity with their families, the Foreign Ministry added a statement. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls condemned the attack. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi condemned the attack and emphasized that Italy is close to the Tunisian government. President Sergio Mattarella condemned the attack as a fact of unprecedented violence. The Japanese government condemned the attack as despicable, while Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, in addition to his own condemnation, stated that Tokyo was working to collect further information. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Spain condemned the attack in a press release. Condolences and outrage were expressed by other states, including the Holy See, Mexico, the Sarawak Arab Democratic Republic, Singapore, Syria, Turkey, and the United States.